it's important that you don't let those fears dwell in your mind too much, because otherwise you won't be able to move forward. And I think it's important that you understand in yourself what you really are afraid of so that you can tackle it. Because if you don't understand why you're really scared of something, you'll never be able to overcome it.
Hey everybody, I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to Talking to My Thoughts, where we have open, honest, and raw conversations about, well, our thoughts. The topics will range from anxiety, life goals, relationship, money, work, everything that runs through our head, so you know the possibilities are endless. You're here with Craig Riviere, aka Mr. Positive.
You're here with SJ.
And Denzil.
Oh my god, man, don't know his name.
Start again.
We ain't starting again, bro. This is guy in the bloopers straight at the beginning, boy.
With Denzil, aka Denz Creates.
What was that intro, bro? That intro's a bit mad. Anyway,
It's
I
because
don't,
I'm
know
hungry.
I don't know why you keep saying SJ as well, man. Don't make
Needs to be
people change how you're supposed to be.
Bruv, don't worry
Anyway, let's
about
get into
that.
it. Let's get into it.
Don't worry about that.
I always just refer to you as St. Lucian, Simon.
Oh, well, there you go.
Just
I say light skin, Simon.
See, that's what I'm saying. There's just confusion all over, bro.
Right, sorry, peeps. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Funny enough, today is about something a bit tougher. So today we're talking about deepest fears. Ooh, chilly. I want you to think about what is your deepest fears as well, actually. Like, some people don't really kind of get into that sometimes. But for me, that's like a casual conversation thing. Like, what is fear? We was like doing this sometimes. Maybe if you don't know what it means, Wikipedia is going to be our place to go. Never do it through Urban Dictionary. So, fear is a feeling induced by perceived danger or threat that occurs in certain types of organisms, which causes a change in metabolic and organ functions. That's the main part of what it talks about. That's quite interesting, actually, because already it's talking about chemicals and real fear in a physical sense, but some of the fear that we create in our heads don't even exist, funny enough. But we're going to get straight into that anyway. What do you lot think about fear anyway?
I think fear is it's a figment of your imagination that's in certain times. It's strange because a lot of fear, like what I almost immediately think of is like a fear of, like, for me, it's like, okay, I got a fear of spiders or something. Like, but what am I really afraid of? Like, I just don't like them, innit? Don't come next to me with no spider. I don't like no spider. It's just part of my imagination that if you bring that next to me, I'm gonna die or something. Like, I don't know, It's crazy, but fear is almost like something that you fixate in your mind. It's going to happen without it even happening. So you're just making it up. Mm-hmm. That's how I picture fear to be.
I think the key word there is, you said fixated, a fixation of something. And the more you fixate on something, the deeper you get scared of it for some reason. I don't know why it works that way, but for me, I think fear, it comes in two things. I think for me, it comes in future and the past. So sometimes when we look into the future, we're fearful of stuff happening, even though it hasn't happened yet. And sometimes when you're looking back to the past, you've been through an experience and now you're kind of scarred. So you're scared that might happen again at some point. So for me, it's that's how my fears work. It's either looking towards the future or looking towards the past. So.
I like that. But we ain't going to give away nothing too much. As you know, in Talking to My Thoughts, we always share literally us talking to our thoughts. We try to have a pre-recording of us speaking to ourselves, because how we speak to ourselves is very different to how we speak to others. So basically, you'll hear pre-recording from today. It will be me and Denzil, and you will basically be able to hear what our thoughts are about our deepest fears. If you resonate, whichever one it is, take a close listen, and then we'll be sharing what we think about it. So let me kick off with Denzil today. Go ahead, my man.
Deepest fears. I guess for me, deepest fears has probably bounced around a few things. And I'd probably say one of the ones that stand out for me is definitely not fulfilling my potential. I feel like God has blessed me in a way where, you know, I'm blessed enough to have all my faculties in place. I'm blessed enough to currently have good enough health. I'm blessed enough to have amazing friends and people around me, and an amazing mother as well. So cool, he's taken things away at the same time, but he's also left me with more than enough reason why I should be able to reach my full potential, and not being able to do that in whatever capacity that actually means would be upsetting to me. Basically, I don't want to waste, and I don't want to waste what I've been blessed with, or waste what I've been put in a position to be able to achieve. So I work hard to the point sometimes I kill myself. But yeah, that would be scary to think that he's put me in a position and I've just said, basically, I don't really care. And I feel like we're kind of put here to be the best kind of versions of ourselves we can be, but that's up to us. There's people that have been in way worse positions than me, way difficult positions, you know, illnesses, everything, like from early in their life, and they've still found a way, they've still pushed through, they've still, you know what I mean, they've still had the drive. And for me, a fear would be not fulfilling whatever he's put me here to do. So, and then another fear would be, I'd say probably losing my mum, and she's the only parent left that I have. So, you know, but I don't want to dwell on those things, not really. But in the back of my mind, that's always been, since obviously when I was young, my dad passed away. That was always a thing. It's like, rah, what? He's killing mum, like, next, like, blah, blah, blah. But you know, yeah. So I think those two are the things that really sometimes play on my mind. But you can't dwell on things like that, man. You have to just push through in it and be positive about it.
Interesting.
Do you want to go first? You want me to pick up?
No, I can say a couple of things. So obviously it's hard to express what your deepest fears are, because that shows you your most vulnerable form, I guess, and it shows it's not necessarily a weakness, but you are exposing yourself in a way that you wouldn't normally do by expressing your deepest fears. So obviously I appreciate that you've done that for us today. It's one thing I picked up on is that even at the end, as you was coming to kind of resolve your thoughts, you was almost thinking, okay, well, I acknowledge that these are my fears, but I can't dwell on them. And I can't let that consume me, and I can't let that be a reason why you can't move forward. And I think that's important. That's an important thing for other people to take away, is that when we was obviously talking about it originally, fear is just obviously something that's built up in your mind, and it can get to a point where it does consume you. And it's important that you don't let those fears dwell in your mind too much, because otherwise you won't be able to move forward.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think it's important that you understand in yourself what you really are afraid of, so that you can tackle it. Because if you don't understand why you're really scared of something, you'll never be able to overcome it. That's what I think.
And I think there's some things you can't actually tackle, because some things are not really they're not up to you. Sort of like stuff like that, stuff like life and death. Stuff like the other one was not fulfilling potential, but then also that's not always up to you as well. I mean, you can do the best you can while you're here, but then you could pass away tomorrow. And in your mind, you'll be like, oh man, I didn't get to do this, I didn't get to do that. But that's not up to you. You get it? So in a sense, it's weird, because those things I'm afraid of actually are not in my control. I like to, anything that's in my control, I try not to be afraid of, because I feel like we all have the power to change, no matter how little we may think of ourselves at that period of time. If it's in our control to do something, we can tackle it, we can fix it. but it's funny that the things I'm most afraid of, actually, I have no control over. So that's why it's probably more scary to me, because I can't turn around to say today, like tomorrow, say, I'm going to live till like 8, I'm going to accomplish everything. You get me? Like, I can't do that. So, yeah.
Isn't that always the case though? Just thinking about it isn't always, well, it may not be, but I'm just thinking about it. Our deepest fears are the things that we can't control.
Well,
the things that we're most afraid of are the things that we have no power over.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Lack of control is pretty much our fear, and that's why there's multiple pieces to interject in that. Let's start with that part. The lack of control is probably some of our deepest fears, in all honesty. And this is what makes us do crazy things, which is the reason why it's necessary for you to understand your fear. Because if you don't understand your fear, you'll start to make actions that are to fight against the fear of what you can't control in the first place. So actually, you're fighting against nothing. Similar to how you started in the beginning, saying that it's a figment of your imagination. And the other part of it, the particular piece to pick up, is fear, worry, anxiety lives in the past and the future. 2 times that you cannot control. The past is gone and cannot be changed, and the future doesn't even exist. You wasn't given the skill to fortune tell. You was never going to be able to know exactly what was going to happen, so you can't prepare for it, and you can't change what's already happened. So actually, if you was to just be, again, the whole thing about being very present, where is the fear there? Right now, I have my mom and dad. Right now, I have my friends. Right now, I'm in a good relationship, or a decent relationship, or I'm in a good job. Do I really need to spend time and my energy fearing something that isn't going to happen? It hasn't happened yet. Or maybe you're in a good relationship and you're like, oh, I just hope that it doesn't turn out the way that the last one was. Now you're making past take over. Or you go to the future and says, oh man, when I'm going to get married, I hope I'm ready. Now you're making this one take over. Now you'll start to, if you make those take over, you'll start to change what you're doing in the present moment. You start saying, you know what, I'm going to start doing start bringing her flowers and all stuff like that. But can you keep up bringing her flowers all the time? You could have just kept going. It was fine. Everything was fine when you was in that moment. So why is it now that you're thinking about past and future? Now you're thinking about all these other pieces. So yeah, there's a very close part about the things that you cannot control, which is especially in the past and future. It's going to cause you to get a bit uneasy, and it's going to make you do things a bit crazy. You understand what I'm saying? Particularly about the stuff that you picked up, that mentioned in your deepest fears. I picked up reaching your full potential, comparison to other people, and then your parents. The full potential one, deepest fear about reaching full potential. I think bears of us got that fear. If anything, I was scared of death because of that. I was scared of death because we always think, we imagine ourselves at a certain age and we've accomplished a lot of things. And not until I can let go of the expectation as to who I believe I was supposed to become was I able to stop seeing that death is actually something that's scary. If you think of it, death comes whenever it wants to come. You understand what I'm saying? You can't control that. We don't know when it will happen. God forbid anytime soon. But the biggest fear is not death itself, but what you don't get to do before you die.
Regretting it.
There we go.
Regret. Yeah.
But again, God blesses us with a day every single day to just pick up yourself, live your life, and do the most that you can. If you said that you've done everything you can today, what else is there? There's nothing more. There's nothing more of yourself. This potential thing is, again, something that doesn't exist yet. The potential of who told you you're going to be this person? You just assume that you are because you're fabricating it. And then let me not take too long, but in the sense of the parents part, I think we all got that fear. It's a piece of us. It's a massive piece of us. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, you had lost your dad, and that was probably obviously a difficult time for you. And then now you have one more parent. I just need to put everything into them now. You understand what I'm saying? And it's a beautiful thing because, as you said, face your fear. Simon said, face your fear. And that is, when you can do that, it means that actually, I don't need to make this fear control me and bring me down. Actually, I can make it power me and say, you know what? I got all this time. I got this energy. Let me put more into mum, do as much as I can, give more. Not because I'm trying to compensate for anything, but because I have the ability to. So there's this thing about facing it. But we'll get straight into the next one, which is going to be a voice recording from me. And we ain't going to waste no time. So. My deepest fear. What a question that one is, isn't it? Instantly, when I think about deepest fears, I actually think about losing some of my loved ones. I think that's like quite a common one, but one of them is losing my loved ones. My parents, especially. They're literally like my best friends, my heart and my soul, my everything. Like, some people don't have their parents in their life. Some people lost their parents along the way. And to me, like, despite how positive I can be sometimes, if I lost them, I don't even know what I'll do, where I'll be, who I'll be. I don't know if I could still be Craig, Mr. Positive, or whatever it is. Yeah, my deepest fear is definitely losing my parents. It's a hard one to swallow, hard one to adjust to, a hard one to deal with. But you have to, right? You always have to just keep moving on. That's what I tell other people. Well, I don't tell them move on. I tell them to absorb it, feel it, but then use it. Use that pain, use that energy that you have, and don't think of them just in death, but think of them about their life, how they impacted you, things that they taught you. Keep it going. They would want you to be happy, right? But boy, that one is a hard one to swallow. My other deepest fears. My fears used to be about not reaching where I think I'm supposed to be. Either be married or having family and kids. Like, I'm my only child, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to have some kids. Quite a big family as well. Funny coming from someone that's the only child and never actually wished for any brothers and sisters. But I do want my own family. Extend the family tree on my side, you know? I do fear dying too early. Well, what is too early? I don't know when my time is. God forbid it's any time sooner than when I have kids, but I can't take away the fact that it is a fear. Obviously, I'm being very raw with myself, very honest. This is something that comes up in my head, and it is a fear. But we move, you know? It's not, you don't dwell on the things, you don't dwell on the future, you don't dwell on the past, you just live as present as you can. And that's the reason why you just need to not live your life with restrictions. Life is too short sometimes to be worrying and having fear or trying to control or change the past. You're wasting your energy. You deserve to give yourself 100% of yourself. You deserve to allow yourself to fall in love, to fall into relationships and friendships and with other people. You deserve to give yourself that, which is why it's always necessary for you to be very present and live very openly, Greg. You know that, right? Be present, be open, be loving. Don't act like you have to do everything on your own. When you can do that, you don't have to live with any fears. You wake up, you thank God for where you are, what you've been given, and another blessed day and energy. You go to sleep and tell God, I gave you everything I had. So I did you proud. Thank you. Bless.
It's interesting. There's a lot of similar things that come up there. They almost mirrored each other in the way that even the way you said it as well. The first things you talked about was like loss, and then you was talking about you being a bit more present and then not dwelling on it as well. It's interesting how we have those similar fears, especially when it comes to losing people around us, and when you're talking about not fulfilling your potential as well. I just want to chuck in my little bit there as well, actually, but I probably have those similar fears, but more so my deepest fear isn't about having any loss externally anyway, but being lost within myself and not being accepted or being relevant. Essentially, we're all thinking about the end game where we pass away. What did we fulfill? What happened? And my fear is that it's going to come to a point where whether I pass away today, tomorrow, in 20 years' time, I did nothing that was relevant. And no one cares. And everyone just moves on. They have a funeral, bye-bye, and they just forget about it. That's deep.
Powerful, that one.
You're telling me that, and I'm like, it's so deep. It just got me. I said, I can't do that in my life. I can't do that in my life.
It's like, bro,
damn shame.
Like, what? No, but for me, it's like, bro, you're brought into this world. Yeah, there's no guarantee that you're not gonna live forever.
Yeah.
So you got to think about your purpose. What are you doing on this earth while you're here? Yeah. Imagine it comes to a point where you live and you die, and it's almost like you was non-existent.
Bruv.
What was the point of you being born?
That's mad.
That's my fear. That's
actually mad.
I went through all of this time being on this earth, died, and nothing happened, bruv. And everyone just kept moving on with their life. Who was that guy again? What was his name?
Yeah.
No, talking about me.
Oh.
So Simon? What? Oh yeah, nah, yeah.
I just want to quickly interject why you just said that. I mean, it's so mad that you said that, yeah, because I'm just like, wow, that is so deep. And actually, I really do think, I think that's a lot of our fears as well. I think that's also the same reason we both said about he's also, I want to have a family because it's going to mean stuff to more people as well. And I said, I want to accomplish, I want to do what God's laid out for me because that will impact and leave something behind when I leave. That would mean my purpose was fulfilled and stuff like that. It's mad the way you said it, because I also, on the flip side of that, I also think you already do mean a lot to people who are actually here now, currently now. Your missus, your kids, your friends, your family. I think so. I already think in that sense, it's something that I think we all don't necessarily need to worry about. Again, as going back to saying it's a fabrication, isn't it? Because if you ask, any of those people how much does Simon mean to you, they'll probably be like, he means the world to me. He means everything to me. So if you was to, there's no wood here for me to touch, so I'm not going to say anything. But if the unfortunate case of events happen, I don't ever think that actually should be a fear. Yeah. And I don't think it should be a fear for all of us, because I feel like we all mean probably the world to somebody here or some people. So, but yeah, it's mad, because even though I'm saying that now, I think the exact same. Yeah. I think the exact same as you. So.
Yeah, I've had that same kind of thought as well. Kind of got past it though. I think. As time, as people, you start to allow people to share their thoughts about how you change their day, their world, whatever it is. I'll give you two pieces on that. So the first piece is obviously, because I know Simon personally, family's connected and things like that. And I've been around him when he's with his family, and the whole family, and especially Simon, is very family orientated in itself. So again, as Denzil said, if you used to ask your family members, boom, like, yo, if I was to go, would you miss me? They'll be like, are you dumb, fam?
Yeah.
You've done a lot, and your family orientation, the love is limitless that you've given to your family, and the stuff that you do, and the way that you bring your friends together, and the stuff that you interject, and the positivity, energy, etc. Now, then you went on to the other part where you say about fabrication. Now, this again, funny how I didn't think that fear was going to be related to fabrication for this whole podcast, but actually, this is what fear is: the fabrication of the fact of what we think we're supposed to be doing in this world. Because the reason why we think that we're not making an impact or doing something, again, is because of comparison. Because if it was just you and your family and you just living it up and loving and stuff, like you didn't see no social media or any other families or any other people, you wouldn't be saying that. You're comparing it to what other people are doing, impacts people are making, people, the way that people are interjecting. Because if you just say, oh, do I do everything for my family? You'll probably say, yeah. You give everything that you can to your kids?
Yeah.
Everything to your parents.
Yeah.
What more is there? You understand? So this is that case, and I've recognized that myself. This is why I told you in the end of the thing. I just said, God, I just thank God for waking me up and giving me the energy I have. And if I can say at the end of the day that I used everything I had to the best of my ability, So this thing about the whole fear fabrication is so true to me. Like there's cases where you've changed people's worlds, your family, your kids and stuff like that. But the key part I want to tell people is that often we want to be in this world and we want to change the world because we see a lot of people doing great things and a lot doing opening crazy doors and all stuff like that. But if you was simply to able to give yourself completely to even one person, you don't know how much that will change their world. We're too busy trying to change the entire world, but it actually just starts with one person. Need it be your child, one friend that asks you for help, being present with your parents, saying, you know what, today I'm going to spend time with you. Today I'm going to be with you. That changes everything for them. You don't know how that kind of ripple effects onto their day, and then it ripples effects onto their week, and then they take this same good mood and they bring it onto their colleagues. Then they start talking to their friend, and then all of a sudden, if you was actually to see where your energy went from the origin of you to how many people it went, you actually realize, rah, I've actually reached corners of the world that I didn't even imagine. But just because we don't see it in photography and all these social media and all the stuff like that, we just don't think we're changing anything. But we are changing something if we can just simply be ourselves completely and be very present with that person right there. And the reason why I say this, I won't go on too long, but the reason why I particularly say being present with that person is because there's so many times a friend will say, yo, I got a bit of a problem at work or something, and then we'll be like, we're busy, I don't know, we're doing something, I don't know, we'll think about a podcast. It's like, oh, I'll get to you a bit in a bit. But the podcast could have waited, it could have waited for a couple of weeks or something like that. At that time, that person came to you to ask you for help. Now, if you just said, you paused it and you said, all right, I'm listening to you, what's going on, what's popping? Then you gave them some reassurance. When they went back to work, all of a sudden their whole perspective has changed about work. They're doing great things again. They're doing great work. They're helping other people. They're sharing that energy with other people just because you was present at that moment, not thinking about what you have to do in the future, but you said, you know what, cool, I'm going to give you my time, my full attention right here, right now. That is changing their world, which actually changes the world as a ripple effect. So, and I think that's something that we forget a lot of the time. And that's something that I always go back to this whole thing about being present, trying to just be in the moment. You understand what I'm saying? Just be right there. That sometimes you meet your friends and like you're too busy taking selfies and stuff like that. But actually, you just feel like, what's going on with you? What's popping? What's really happening in your life? And those things to do that, not only does it help you, but it helps them. Almost knocked over the mic there, but it helps them. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's my take on that. That's how I've kind of come away from I'm not too scared of death anymore, and I'm not too scared of how am I going to change the world, especially as me on social media or Mr. Positive. It was always like, oh, how's my videos impacting people? How's it going to do this and da. Like, how many people am I reaching, etc., etc., etc. But I had videos I posted sometimes the same message in January, and I posted the same message in July. They didn't say anything in January, but in July they needed that. So whenever I can just be present and just give out what I have at the time of what I've been given, that's what we was brought on this earth to do. We don't need to put this kind of fabricated fear of ourselves or what we're supposed to be. But yeah, that's my part.
I have a quick thing just to say quickly on that is I don't necessarily think fear of death is a bad thing, because when I was younger, and as I said, after my dad passed away, at that point, before that, I didn't even think about death, but when that happened, I then went into a state of, man, don't care no more. Like, I can go out and beef and war anyone. Like, if I get shanked or whatever, if I die, I'll go meet my dad. You feel me? Like, and I was in a state of like nothingness in terms of like, I no longer really was holding on to anything in this world. I was just like, I was fearless in a sense. But then as I grow up and I grow older and I made connections, I made friends, I was doing stuff with myself. I ran into opportunities. I was taking opportunities. I was finding a path. And I was seeing how much I meant to other people. It then reversed. It kind of went, oh no, actually, I can't leave. I don't want to go anywhere. Like, there's things for me here. There's things I can impact. There's people I can help. There's things that I have to do. And then I went back into the state of actually, no, actually, it's not my time yet. Like, hey, God, allow me a little bit longer, because now I'm in a state of, I'm fearful to go because of all these connections I've made, because of all these things I'm doing. And so when I look at it, I don't necessarily think it's such a bad thing. I actually think to fear not being here is actually slightly good. Not to the point it consumes you and like you can't come out of your house because you're like, rah, what if I trip over and bust my head open? Like, not like that, but to have a slight fear of not going means you're hanging on to something and means there's actual energy here and people here or opportunity here and things here that you could be in love with, and that makes you feel alive and you want to feel alive that much longer and hold on to that.
I was actually going to say that, not in those specific words, but I was actually going to say that fear shouldn't be considered as anything negative. I think fear can be used as a tool to help elevate whatever you need to elevate in your life. So a lot of the times, as an example of when you're fearful of falling over, you're fearful of this, that fear allows you to then anticipate something and then protect yourself from it. So it's not necessarily that fear's consuming you to the point where it's like, I can't go outside because I might hurt myself. But it's like, because of that fear, you're then protecting yourself a little bit more. And that's almost then stopping you from being as risky as you would be in order to protect yourself. So it's not necessarily about negative, that fear is, okay, it's consuming you, it's a bad thing, because fear can be used as a tool to help you to then move forward with your life.
That's a good point.
To bring it right back to the beginning of the podcast, Wikipedia explains fear as a way that it gives us like a physical effect. Now, this is something that's built into us. So fear is an emotion, a real emotion, something that is very valid and not something that was supposed to be squandered or ignored because it has real effects. When, I don't know, a zebra sees a lion or something like that, they know it's survival, caution, you gotta survive. When I don't know, when the cavemen first burn their hand on the first piece of fire, they know they shouldn't do that, and that gets passed on. Fear is a level of protection, but again, perception is everything. Like, okay, I got fear about death, or I got fear about losing my loved ones. That means actually, instead of making it consume me and just keep fearing death and like not going out because I don't want to hurt myself, actually, let's change it on its head and say, you know what? While I'm on this earth, I'm gonna give everything I have, do everything I can, because they mean that much to me. You understand what I'm saying? So then when you do go on your deathbed, you're not gonna be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that I didn't give you the time I should have, and I shouldn't have been so scared to love you. You just say, you know what, I love you so much that I gave you everything I had and I'm happy that I did that. You understand? Because sometimes what happens is, especially losses, it'll close us off. It's like, I can't love you because actually I'm just scared to even lose you when you look at death in a different way, the other side. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's my part to that. And we turn it back to that.
Yeah. Very quickly, I don't want to take too much time, but just as you said that, it made me actually think about fear of relationships. You know, like when people are like, oh, I don't know if I could, this kind of ties into a past podcast that you've done, but trust, I don't know if I could trust that person, or I feel like I'm scared to get involved with that person, maybe through messing it up, maybe because they might leave me, maybe because I've experienced loss before and I don't want to lose them. But then you're blocking your blessings, because then that fear doesn't allow you to then actually experience love, one of the highest forms of emotion here. And literally, as you just touched on, if you flip it on its head, it's all about perspective. You could actually say, well, like, I haven't experienced love in the deepest form before, so if I just let go, and if I just kind of let go of my fears and jump into the deep end, no matter if it lasts a year, no matter if it lasts 6 months, 10 years, 20 years, when it comes to your deathbed, you could say, rah, man, experienced love in the highest form, like I'm blessed to be able to have been here and experienced that, because some people go through the entire life and don't actually experience that. So that's another thing.
What's that saying? It's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all.
Yeah, that's the same, bro. That was a tongue twister. I'm glad. I'm surprised you got that.
I was saying it in my head a couple times before I actually said it out loud. Still.
That is, it's mad.
I think that's a key part. Actually, I had a screenshot from something I saw, and it said, there is conditional love and there's unconditional love. One limits the mind and the other sets it free.
Mad.
And the conditional love, as you can relate already, being fearful, doing things that you say, nah, because of fear, it's fabrication. I can't do this. I can't go all in. But actually, God, or you being blessed with life, whatever, was was always to go all in. It was always 100%. So you
Mm.
better be unconditional, because then you're going to be really free. As
Mm.
you said, when you're on your deathbed, you said, I gave you everything. And you could be happy about that, be proud about that. And they will feel it.
Yeah.
Like, they ain't going to be like, no, you could have given the squeeze a little bit more. On your deathbed, disrespect. But
Yeah.
they're going to be like, no, you did. And they're going to remember that. And you think that's not going to change the world. Yeah, maybe you wasn't on TV. Maybe you only had 5 people that actually really knew you like that. But that 5 people will take that for the rest of your life into other people. And yeah, you don't see it, but you're not supposed to. It's not about your ego getting ticked off. Like, I did the right thing. Actually,
True.
you just do what you said you are capable of doing, and let it take the ripple effect to where it needs to go.
I like that.
Powerful today, powerful.
Jeez.
So yeah, let's. I think I gave my little piece on that already. Of the.
Oh, sorry. Just because I wrote it down, I never got to ask you, because we kind of like went to yours, then went to Simon's.
Cool.
Wrote it down. Yeah. So one of the big things you touched on about losing your parents, and you said, I don't know. I found this really interesting. I don't know if I'll still be Craig if I lost them. What did you mean by that?
So for me, it's interesting that I still hold that fear, because as I've said in other podcasts before, I was very close to my parents. Oh, I'm still close to my parents, sorry. Like, the circle of trust is only me and them. And also at the same time, the things you learn, the things you do, the attributes, the skills, everything that you have and personality is a mixture of them two. So when you start to step out of the nest, you could say, even though I stepped out of the nest ages ago, but when you start to step out of the nest and start to have your own beliefs, your own culture, your own way of doing things, then you start to create a person that's of your own, in a sense. You have influence from them, but it's of your own. So when I say that, like, losing my parents, in a sense, they are pieces of me. Like, I'm always like half with them. It's inside of me, in a sense. So if I lost them, it just feels like that a piece of me died, in a sense. Like, when I think about where my safe haven is, my piece is them. So it feels like if I don't have that, like, one of them is missing, we could be in the room and just one person's missing, and you know what that kind of feels like. It would just be like a bit of emptiness. But then it came on to the other part, which said, but a person always lives. You don't think about them in their death, of their being gone, but you think about them continuing anyway, like, especially from other past people that have passed away. You don't think about their memory and, oh, they're dead in the ground. You think, no, what did they do? What would they be doing? What joke would they make right now? You understand? But it doesn't mean that, because that fear lives in me. Parents mean a lot to you, and it's hard to ever get to a point where you could just say, yeah, it's fine. And I guess, but these things, you're not so, again, the want to even say that it's going to be fine is actually down to the fact of your ego trying to just tick off the box of trying to control what's going to happen in the future, but you have no control. And you just have to accept that, which means, again, use the energy not to think about the future and prepare yourself for something you can't control, but be back in the present. And when you do meet up with them, every time that they come down to England, or every time I go to St. Lucia, I'm being very present with them, extremely present, because I love them that much. So you fear the fear that of you losing them, take that and then put it into being very present and very in the moment with them and giving everything that you have with the time that you have.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, I guess my food for thought to kind of wrap it up is kind of something that I stand by, I guess, and then just understanding that fear shouldn't be negative. Fear is a tool. Fear is something that you can use to your advantage, and it's okay to be afraid in certain circumstances, because I still don't like spiders. So me, I ain't messing with no spiders. Innit? But even that's something I guess I could overcome if I really wanted to. But I just ain't messing with no spiders. I'm just like, I ain't messing with no spiders. But yeah, it's a tool that you can use to then help push yourself forward. So always think of fear as something which is useful. If you're not afraid of something, then I almost think that, is there something wrong? Like, what is missing that you're not afraid of anything? I don't know. It makes you think a little bit.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
I think my 2 cents would be something that probably I knew, but I got to focus on a bit more while being here, was perspective. Like, of course you can be fearful of something, and you're always thinking maybe in the worst case scenario, but maybe sometimes use that fear and flip it and be like, cool, right, this is what I'm scared of. But on the other side of it, it hasn't happened. I haven't gone through that. So right now, right here, today, let me use the energy I have Instead of being fearful with it, let me use it and actually be positive with it. Let me go all in. As Craig said earlier, you give 100%. We're put here to give 100%. Let me use it that way and see how it works for me. And you might live a more fuller life rather than a glass half empty sort of life. That makes sense.
So that's their food for thoughts. As you know, we want to hear from you, man. What is your deepest fears? What triggers you sometimes? What are you scared of? And do you think it lives in the past or the future? And we want to hear it, man. In the video, voice note, text, email, anything, any way you want to share it. We're here to listen, here to respond, and maybe even share to other people. But thank you again for listening to us. Hope you enjoyed it. It was a pleasure. As you know, it's Craig Riviere and Mr. Positive.
SJ.
It's Denzil, aka Denz Creates. Got it right this time.
This is Talking to My Thoughts. And we out. Peace.
See ya.